Okay, let's talk about this one. This one's very amped topic because it basically speaks a bit to my visit, which I'm gonna have to repeat soon because I have to do that interview. Let's prepare a bit. Okay, so as you know, definitely you know, because I don't know, because I keep talking about it. If you're one of the few people watching me, you definitely know that Russia has been targeting Ukraine's critical infrastructure, especially energy creating critical infrastructure. So, like, I think since the very beginning of the full scale invasion, Russia's been attempting to deprive Ukraine of electricity, of heating, and all the other things that are necessary to function normally. There were winters in which Ukrainian people had to, inside of their apartments, set up tents with warm blankets and warm up inside of tents inside of their apartment because there was no heating, no anything because the electricity was out. And of course, now because Russia is succeeding in destroying critical infrastructure, there are blackouts, electricity is being rationed. There are times during the day and during the night when electricity just gets cut off. That, of course, happened when I went to Ukraine, uh, when I would be cooking something using gas. Gas doesn't really care if you have electricity or not. And then I'd turn on this fan, to it sucks up the smells usually when you cook something. And then it would just die because electricity would be off, you know? And the electricity would be off for hours on end, which of course is a big problem for many people that depend on electricity to perform their work. You know? This is why more and more people, more and more businesses buy electricity generators. I've seen more and more of those electricity generators when I went to small food and drink places. Like they would be sitting on the side, electricity generators, in order to sort of deal with these sort of problems. The types that I've seen are usually just like gasoline ones. You pour gasoline and it sort of um, generates electricity, so that place businesses can um, function as normally as they possibly can. So that's basically been my experience with the blackouts. And let's see. Russian airstrikes have disabled more than half of Ukraine's national power grid as Moscow follows a campaign of targeting thermal and hydroelectric generating capacity because Russia is trying to freeze Ukraine. Russian airstrikes have disabled more than half of Ukraine's national power. Kyiv fears winter of blackouts and power shortages as Russian strikes continue to barrage electrical infrastructure, having already destroyed or seized over half of the country's generating capacity. The Kyiv Post has reported during the citing the Financial Times. And already we have tons of blackouts, especially as I've read. Kiev is especially vulnerable to these sort of blackouts because Kiev has a lot of critical infrastructure that must be upkept, and that critical infrastructure is prioritized, and therefore more blackouts, more electricity gets cut off when it comes to businesses and citizens, because critical infrastructure just simply needs to be upkept. Ukraine had a pre-war power generating capacity of around 55 gigawatts, one of the largest in Europe. This has fallen to about 20 gigawatts as a result of Russian strikes targeting critical infrastructure. Missile and drone attacks have cost Ukraine 9.2 gigawatts of production capacity since March alone. The situation has alarmed the EU, which is working to shore up Ukraine's energy needs, not least because Russian attacks have recently focused on energy plants and gas storage facilities that supply the bloc. European states have provided 120 shipments of energy equipment and tools to help Ukraine rebuild its power network. Poland has been also providing energy for Ukraine, if I remember correctly. Recent Russian attacks have been aimed at thermal and hydroelectric facilities, which are much harder and more time-consuming to repair than the distribution grid, which Moscow targeted in its earlier waves of assaults in 2022 and 2023. In April, the massive Tripilska power station, 50 kilometers from the capital, was hit, losing 100% of its generating capacity. The plant supplied power to 8% of the country's population. Since then, the bombardments have continued, and the energy depletion has become more acute. Apologies. One power engineer told the Kyiv Post, on condition of anonymity, that if the government did not build new thermal power plants immediately, there could be widespread freezing of the country's municipal heating pipes when cold weather arrives in November. The Secretary of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, Alexander Litvinenko, told the FT that Kyiv planned to create smaller decentralized power plants in a bid to create greater energy resilience and thwart Moscow's plans to make the country uninhabitable, which basically is something that I've been reading about for a while now. That's Ukraine is trying to create a lot more scattered around centers of creating energy that would not be so sort of grouped together for targeting by Russia. That would be much more difficult to destroy, more difficult to disrupt, which is, I think, there are not many other options apart from getting energy from the less bloodthirsty neighbors and, of course, decentralizing the power production. But of course, all of it takes time, all of it takes money. So it's a difficult situation for Ukraine for sure with this whole energy thing. Because keep in mind that I'm not sure what the stats are on those generators. I'm not sure how many businesses have those generators. I'm not sure how many places are prepared for prolonged blackouts. And that, of course, hits the economy. It's just sort of, you could say, self-reinforcing cycle. Right? Definitely a big problem. As I said, especially since there are many, all businesses require electricity. Like all businesses require electricity to function. And most regular people basically require electricity to function, especially in the winter. So it's going to be a tough winter. It's going to be a tough winter ahead. I've already got signals from people that they are pretty worried of the upcoming winter. And that's the current situation. There is no telling if the situation will not deteriorate further moving forward. So when I go there again, which is actually pretty soon, I'm probably going to need to get accustomed to not having electricity often. That's basically what I will need to do. Right? Right.